Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
Matt, I believe this is going to be an extra special Marvel fantastic episode of Box Office Bingers. Because not only are we reviewing a movie, I think that this is probably like, I feel this is your most anticipated movie of the year.
100%.
And we have, coming back again, we have a special guest this week. So Matt, kick us off.
Yeah, to say this is my highly anticipated movie of the year is understatement. We are reviewing Fantastic Four First Steps, Marvel's crack at Marvel's first family, and we have Nick DiLorenzo back onto the show. Last time we had you was also a Marvel-filled episode when we talked about Deadpool and Wolverine. So one more year, that was almost a year ago to the date we had you on the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, July, I think. Yeah, no, I'm excited. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, we love it.
I didn't realize that this was your most anticipated movie of the year. Are you just a big fan of the Fantastic Four, or what brought this one to the top?
Yes, I am a big fan of the Fantastic Four. If you haven't tell by my shirt, as well as this other shirt that I'm wearing, double the shirts, double the fun. And I should have 4 shirts on. That would have made more sense.
It would have been way more practical and made way more sense. You're right.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I think to me, it's like Fantastic Four is such a cool idea, and for some reason, with Fox having it, they never were able to crack it. I think the 2005 and 2007 films were fun, and I really enjoyed them when I was younger. But as I got older, it's like, these movies had a little bit of issues, but I still have fun watching them. A lot of nostalgia for me in those movies. I also just connected a little bit more with the Fantastic Four, just more of just a niche group of characters, and there's so much story just within those characters. And then the 2015 movie was just garbage, and I hated it. And so I've always wondered, like, Marvel just taking a crack at the Fantastic Four. I thought I'll never see it. And then once once Disney bought Fox, and then it took them, I want to say, since they made to 2018, 2025. So you're looking at probably 7 years or so since they bought Fox. They will finally give us the Fantastic Four. And something that, even with Marvel Studios, is like, they'll never get a crack at Spider-Man because it's Sony. And then it happened. And so now, kind of in a similar sense, now Marvel Studios has the reign, and Marvel Studios, in the past anyway, has a great track record of giving us great films. And so now, wanting to see how Marvel would take a stab at the Fantastic Four, that's why I was on the top of my list. So it's kind of funny in a sense that last week we reviewed Superman, and that was Ernesto's most anticipated movie of the year. And we did a whole deep dive on that film on last week's episode 263. We reviewed that with Esteban, so be sure to check that out. But now, literally a week later, we're eating healthy right now. We're eating good. I wouldn't say healthy, but we're just eating good in the month of July when it comes to superhero content. But yeah, the Fantastic Four First Steps, directed by Matt Shakman, and funny enough, this is his first feature film. But he has a long-standing career in television since 1999. So he's been a TV director this whole time. Directed all the episodes of WandaVision, 43 episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and several episodes of Game of Thrones, Fargo, Psych, Succession, The Boys, and Monarch, the Legacy of Monsters. So he's definitely no stranger to directing, but it's kind of crazy if you have, this long career as a television director, and now your first feature-length film happens to be the Fantastic Four First Steps. It's also written by Josh Friedman, who wrote 2005's War of the Worlds, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and is the creator behind the Snowpiercer series, as well as Foundation, which is on Apple TV Plus right now. And also written by Eric Pearson, who's a name we've talked about earlier this year. He wrote Thor Ragnarok, Godzilla vs. Kong, Black Widow, Transformers 1, and Thunderbolts, which is a movie we saw this year. And then also some indie writers were also given store credit by Jeff Kaplan, Ian Springer, and Kat Wood. So 5 writers are attached to this movie, 1 director, and this movie has an all-star cast of Pedro Pascal, Venessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bacharach, Joseph Quinn, Julia Gardner, and Ralph Inninson.
I think it's
That's how you
innocent.
pronounce that.
I think it's innocent.
Innocent, yeah. But yeah, to say this was understated, Marvel came out with 3 movies this year. This was definitely on the top of my list. Before we get started, Nick, have you watched the other Marvel movies, and how do you think Marvel's been doing so far?
Finished, who are the accountants on the movie too? I want to know who was in payroll. That's what I'm.
Who's in charge of craft services?
Yeah. And I'm sure they had some HR on you know, let's
Yeah.
this department.
Beat by beat.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. What are you talking about? What did you ask?
I didn't hear a word you said. No, it's funny. This is Marvel's 3rd and last movie to come out this year. Had you had a chance to see Captain America: Brave New World or Thunderbolts, and how do you think Marvel's been doing this year before we talk about Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I watched. I didn't see the new Captain America movie when it came out. I just heard the feedback wasn't great, so I held out on that one. And then when it came on streaming, I tried to watch it, and then I put it on while I was doing laundry, and I don't know, I turned it off. I couldn't get into it.
Wow.
But I did watch Thunderbolts, and I thought it was fine. I liked it. There were parts of that I enjoyed, and it was nice to see. I think I was a little bit losing some level of interest. I feel like in the Marvel movies, as of the last couple years. And I think that was a nice addition to it, and I felt like that was heading in the right direction. And I was similarly really excited for Fantastic Four because I saw the stuff that was coming out, and it looked really nice. I like the vibe of it. I like the colors, the music, the retro futuristic aesthetic, and everything. I thought that was, and the casting seemed really fun too. So I was looking forward to that one, and I went in with high expectations.
Yeah, I think there's very similarly to Superman, which we'll kind of dive into that a little bit later into the show of like Fantastic Four versus Superman. It's kind of something we shouldn't really have to compare, but just the nature of DC had something to prove, Marvel had something to prove. They both came out within 2 weeks of each other in the same year, same month. It's worth having a conversation, especially when it comes to the box office. But to your point, there was a lot of expectations going into this. This is again Marvel Studios crack at Marvel's first family. A lot of negative reception has been around Fantastic Four when it comes to the movies, and now can Marvel be the one to crack the code on giving us a good Fantastic Four movie? So with that, we're going to be diving into our spoiler review of Fantastic Four First Steps. And Nick, we'll start with you. What were your initial thoughts on the film?
Overall, I thought it was fun. I liked a lot of it. I think my takeaway was, while I got to acknowledge, I went in with pretty high expectations. I think I left maybe slightly disappointed in the film overall, but I got very excited about seeing these characters moving forward, and I think a lot of that's probably on me being nitpicky or maybe going in with too high of expectations. But I think there were a ton of positives. I thought the cast was great. I thought is it Ebon Moss-Bacharach, whatever?
Yeah, Ebon Moss-Bacharach.
The guy who played Ben Grimm. I thought he was fantastic. I thought that was great. The whole cast was awesome. I loved the look of it. I thought the colors were so I thought the cinematography was really pretty. I think the way that they it was just, I think, one of the more colorful Marvel movies we'd seen in a while, and I thought that looked great. And the music I thought was really good too. I liked the vibe. Overall, it was fun. I think I was a little disappointed. Maybe the movie as a whole felt a little rushed at times, but I left feeling excited about the future.
Ernesto, what about you?
I liked it. I think overall, I think the movie was fine. It was kind of like a very like middle of the road Marvel film, which is not like it sounds negative, but in based off what we've been getting when you look at Captain America Brave New World, like this seems like at least like even though this maybe not be like the best Marvel movie out there, this is at least I think this is a step in the right direction. They're kind of to me they kind of went back to their basics. They're like, all right, well, what? Let's go back to what actually works. Like what I really actually enjoyed was the lack of like how if it was a self-contained narrative. Like it wasn't riddled with like setup for the Marvel universe. There was like maybe a few things here and there, but it didn't to me it didn't take away from the story. I thought very similar to Nick. I thought the casting was great. I actually there was some talk before about Joseph Quinn's casting as Johnny Storm because he says he wasn't going to be. There were some notions that he wasn't going to be like the typical Johnny Storm, where they were kind of update his character for the times. But I actually felt like he had he had the essence of Johnny Storm, where he was kind of like an asshole, and he's kind of like a ladies' man, like the whole back and forth between him falling, like being in love with the Silver Surfer. I thought was kind of like a cute. It was kind of like a cute nod to that point of his character, or like just like the way he would razz Mr. Fantastic. Like he's like you're gonna be a great mom. But you're gonna like you're way out of your depths. Like the little quips like that. I did like that he was quippy. Like he was able to maintain that of the character. Ebon Bacharach as Ben Grimm. I thought he really fit the narrative really well. He fit his character really well. Kind of showcasing him kind of dealing with being the only one that like looks different. Like when he would watch, there was that one scene where he's looking at himself in the before they go up into space and when he's still looking normal, like seeing that he misses that normality that everybody else seems to still have. Like Johnny can light on fire, but he can still look like a normal human being. Like that's something that we kind of saw in like the 2005. I don't remember. There was one of them.
It was 2005,
right?
yeah.
Where that was like almost like a main plot point, but yet we were still able to. I like that we were able to kind of explore that, but not really dwell on that too much. But it just felt like a lot. I wanted more. My main criticism is that I kind of wanted more of Galactus and Silver Surfer. We're seeing at this massive threat, but we get this one scene which worked really well where you get to see his machine his ship that like destroys worlds, and you're kind of taken through that moment, and we have this chase with the Silver Surfer into the black hole. Like to me, visually, it was just stunning. I thought it was really pretty the way they did that, just how they were able to make Galactus look as grand as he is. But in the end, I felt like he was kind of like underserved. Like it was like this quick thing where, like with a mom, Venessa Kirby as Miss Sue Storm, like pushes him into the Sting using like almost all the energy she has left while trying to protect her son. So we've seen that, that trope's played out in so many different ways. But I mean, they found a way to kind of like, she spent like 5 minutes. It wasn't like a one big final push. It was like pushing him back, and I'm pushing him back, and I'm pushing him back, and then she eventually and she kills her. She dies, like releasing whatever energy she has left. I kind of wish that the Franklin Richards thing. I wish it was more of a reveal, but I do like his inclusion because he is a key factor in the whole Secret Wars ethos. Like when Secret Wars takes place, he's so powerful that he literally helps recreate the Marvel universe after the events of Secret Wars. Like there was one point where he creates a Pocky universe to save the Marvel heroes because he can just do that. Like as we saw in the end of the movie when he just saves his mom, and you see like all that cosmic energy come out of her eyes when she comes back to life. I would have liked to have seen more. Like maybe if the post-credit scene was like a little bit longer. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but more or less that's like my initial thoughts. I liked it, but I do think the movie has its issues.
I think I have to agree with you in the sense of like there is something missing here.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that is missing is more of something. I think there could be more of a lot of different things that could have been in this movie. I think also to your sentiment, Nick, I also went in there with extremely high expectations. And we talk about a lot in the show of expectations can, they need to be somewhat managed because if you go in too high or too low, uh, you know, and if you go in low and then you end up in really really enjoying it, then it elevates your experience. If you go in too high and then it's not exactly what you think it's going to be or what you thought the movie was in your head, then you come in extremely disappointed on a few aspects. But for me, I feel like it met my expectations, but there was never a moment that it exceeded them. And I think that's where I have like there was never a moment where I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing. It was just, yep, that's pretty much exactly what I thought they were going to do. In the sense of this is what like the whole and I mildly blame the trailers for this as well. It's like, yeah, Galactus is coming. He is a threat. And guess what he did at the end of the movie? He came. And then now what? Now what are we supposed to do? We're gonna have to try to stop him. Anything else about this movie? No, that's about it. Get ready to see them interact more in the next one. And so I just wish that there was just some surprise factor to it in the sense of where, like Thunderbolts, for example, I was surprised that the movie was not about like fighting. Like the movie was won by the strengths of like internal battle within everyone's head. It was a battle of mental what was it? Not mental illness, but
Mental health, but I think
mental health. There you go.
they use the character, at least in the Thunderbolts discussion, like they use the character of Sentry to highlight the necessity of mental health, and you like using his story to and just made a very human connect. It made it a superhero movie that made it a very human story, and I think to me,
Yeah.
like as the three, like Thunderbolts has been my favorite of the year, and I think for that exact reason that it's like Thunderbolts is more than just a Marvel movie. Like there's some actual depth and really good storytelling that's involved in there. And with here, I feel like I feel like they tried to get that with the family aspect. And I mean, how many times is Pedro Pascal gonna save a child that's being forced to be sacrificed? Like it's like his same role. Like I get it. He fits a niche, and that's anytime a kid needs to be protected, he's the actor to make that role.
You call Pedro. He's your guy.
I just want to say, if you're listening to this, you can't see it, but there's something so funny about watching somebody in head to toe Fantastic Four merch just have to sit there and listen to two people criticize the movie.
Like a kid at Disney who gets his balloon popped.
I think that, I think something that kind of bummed me out a little bit was I think what's so fun about the Fantastic Four is they have such a fun, quirky, unique power set between the four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in really hoping, because I think a lot of the fun is watching these kind of like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like combo attacks, or like they're like teamwork, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like their powers kind of complementing each other in like fun and creative ways. And you really didn't see much of that. You didn't really see much of any of it. And reducing Mr. Fantastic down to like basically being like a less swingy Spider-Man, where it's just like he's using it to like Christmas ball and like climb a building. It's like,
yeah, it's true.
And he has such a cool, and again, like I don't know as much about the lore as you guys probably do, but I do know that like in the comics, right, like can he like shapeshift and like change his face, and like he can like change his body into different shapes, or like make himself into a parachute or something, like have like these different,
like he can stretch himself out to
the
do
stretching, right?
Yeah.
So it felt kind of, I don't know, it felt a little lame to just have him stretch an extra 3 feet to like get a coffee, and I just wanted there to be more, and I love the fact that they really leaned into the family drama aspect, and I think overall I'm glad that was highlighted. And because the movie felt a little quick and rushed, I would have loved to have seen a little bit more kind of like fun action. Like honestly, the montage at the beginning, I would have been kind of cool if that was the movie, the first one, and I almost left feeling like, because they built up Galactus in a way where he was like he's going to be the big bad guy. He comes and then he goes so quickly. I don't know. I would have been okay if they built up to him like Thanos a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a little bit more of like a tease at the end where maybe we focus on the family drama, have some fun action. They're bouncing around doing all their powers and stuff, and then at the end, the Silver Surfer comes and kind of teases into the next thing. I know it's not for their bigger plan is different, but I just felt like he's such a powerful villain, and then it just sort of, I don't know, breezed by a little quickly, I think.
I mean, they say they're saved by Silver Surfer making the sacrifice of pushing him into that dimension, which honestly, I actually like. Yeah, I think that's fine because what we think happened, she probably pushed him into the main MCU timeline, and now Galactus and the
who
Silver
knows?
Surfer. I mean, that's my assumption is that they're coming into the main timeline because Galactus is too good of a character to just be wasted as a one and done. Like if that's actually what happens, like if this is the last we see of Julia Gardner as Silver Surfer, which I think would be really cool because then we can get her Silver Surfer and then the original Silver Surfer to meet like Norman Reed. Like I think that would be a cool thing for them to eventually set up and happen. But you can't waste Galactus. At least have him come over, like, and have him interact with the other cosmic entities that are there, and then they're like maybe that's something that they've just planted a seed for something that's going to take place in like maybe 5 years, because like right now it's going to be Doom. Like Doom's going to be the next main threat.
How did you guys feel about the look of, like, I thought this was one of the better looking Marvel movies recently. Right, I thought The Thing looked great. I thought a lot of it looked great. There were moments though where Galactus felt like almost like a PS2 game or something. Like it felt like there were moments where it looked
like in the sky with the eyes,
as well as the other, as like the other effects in the movie, and it took me a little bit. Like I think overall it looked really. I loved the space birth, like all those sequences. I thought that all looked really good, but for whatever reason, it just I remember sitting in the theater seeing like Thanos for the first time in like Infinity War, and I remember thinking to myself, "This looks so good." Like it just makes you buy in more. I feel like
Yeah.
it just grabs a little bit more, and he felt a little bit more animated.
Yeah. Okay? So there's a lot I want to discuss because you guys are highlighting a lot of different points here. But as far as I'll go to yours, Nick, first. So I literally wrote in my notes that I wanted more stretchy for Mr. Fantastic. Like that's how I labeled it. I mean, technically, Galactus did give him a lot of stretch.
Yeah, right.
But to the point of exactly what you were saying, it's like, yeah, you leaned in heavily on the family aspect of the Fantastic Four, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But also, I do also really want to see them work together in this world because, to your point, this world looks so cool. Like this retro futuristic 1960s vibe. Like this whole world, it's gorgeous to look at. I loved all the little things that were in like kind of involved into it. I even wrote that on my notes. Like, I think this is the best world that I've seen in a Marvel movie since we first saw Wakanda in Black Panther. I can't think of another world that we've been to that's like, damn, this looks really cool. Like, I would just love to explore this this area, this world, this city, and more details of like this retro futuristic vibe to it. And so I love that we have that. But the the fact that we never really got to see them. So as far as an origin story goes, I'm perfectly fine with the montage that we got. I think for the sake of let's not give us an origin story again, but kind of just brush over the highlights of just for the audience to know who these characters are since they're first being introduced in a Marvel Studios film. And I think the montage was a great way to do that. I just wish we had that in addition to like let's start the movie with them like getting right into the action. Like them working together, lower level villain. We've heard them. They mentioned like 4 or 5 in the montage. In like we have the Mole Man. I didn't think we needed Galactus. To your point, in the first movie, I was even surprised when they made the announcement that Galactus was going to be the main big bad. I was like, are we really starting with him now? Like, I think we could have held off a little bit until then, but instead, like, I would have much rather just get a lower level. Like, just get our feet wet, get us warmed up. And I say that, and I did some research on it. Apparently, John Malkovich was supposed to be in this movie. He got cut from the film, and I think he was playing a character that was actually highlighted in the cartoon that was in the show, like the animated cartoon that was highlighted in the movie. And he was like the king of the apes or something. There was like these other ape-like creatures, and we saw Mr. Fantastic kind of push one out of some sort of railing or high ris or whatever, and like push him off the building, and then the ape going into the water. And apparently, that whole scene with pretty much the exact same thing we're kind of complaining about that we wish we had was in originally the movie. There was a whole like 10 to 15 minute, maybe even shorter, um, or there's a whole opening scene of them kind of working together to kind of fight the normal villains that are in the city. Apparently, according to Matt Shakman, that didn't test well when they did some test screenings, and they took that part out. So on top of that, it reduced the runtime from 2 hours and 15 minutes to an hour and 55 minutes. So I had to assume that maybe around that 20 minutes were devoted to that, and ultimately taking out um, John Malkovich from the movie.
It felt like at the beginning there when they were doing that montage, because I agree with you. Like I didn't think we needed an origin. I do like that now a lot of these movies are just kind of jumping into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I totally agree with your point. It felt like in that montage they were kind of fast forwarding through, and it almost felt like somebody was fast forwarding the movie. And I was like, wait, this feels like the fun parts. Don't I
Yeah.
kind of want to like stay on some of this stuff. I thought that like I think what bugged me a little bit was that I think they did a good job with the scale of Galactus and when you first
Mm.
are introduced to him. But then by the time he comes down onto their Earth, um, it felt I kind of had wished that they like afterwards. I was thinking about it, and if they had kind of shot it and really spent time on the graphics, like and made it kind of look like what was that Godzilla -1 or Godzilla Zero or whatever? Yeah,
Godzilla -1, yeah.
you like feel the scale of that monster and it looks so like you buy into it. I feel like so easily because they like and I know they're limited with time or whatever, but it just when he came down on Earth, it immediately I don't know, it didn't feel as there.
Mhm.
I kind of wanted him to be a little bit more destructive. I feel like he came down, he
Yeah.
like tore up, and then granted, like he was, beelining for Franklin Richards, so
Right.
like that's his main concern. But yeah, we didn't see like he kind of like brushed through like a street and like just knocked over it over the path. But I felt like I would have liked to have seen more destruction for him to see like just like how massive of a character, like and how much destruction he can cause. Like I felt like that part was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, to your point, he was kind of very courteous. He's like, "Oh, look at these trees. Let me smell the flowers before I start taking over this
You
world."
know what? That would all be totally fine for me. I just wish that they were like, and I know that technically they were fighting him together, but it just felt like they were so isolated where it
Yes!
didn't feel like they were like. I was waiting for that, like like the classic like Avengers moment in the
Yes.
first one where they like the camera whips around and you see them all kind of working together and they're jumping off each other's shields and stuff. Like it just felt like it was a little. I don't know. I wish they'd use their powers a little bit more. But again, like overall, it was fun, and I think that the acting was great, and the music. I really think the music was such
Oh.
a highlight of this one because they knew. I feel like there's been some superhero movies where, for whatever reason, they like kind of hold back on the theme a little bit, and they like almost like don't give it to you as much as you wish they would. And I felt like this one, like they knew when to pump it in,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that felt really good. I like that. a
Yeah,
lot.
Michael Giacchino. I mean, you can't go wrong with him.
Yeah, he never misses, man.
No,
He
no, he's one of the
he's
greats.
like even the chorus, like Fantastic Four, and then it just builds on that. And it's like it's such like boom, 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 boom,
No,
and then it just
I was gonna make fun of you, but that was actually really accurate. You did that like you did that real. You did that justice.
Yeah, you
that,
did.
You like nailed every. That was really impressive, actually.
They should
thank
hire
you,
you.
thank you. I have been singing it in the car this past weekend.
I believe you. I'm sure you're like Fantastic Four, like in driving your fantastic car around the city.
Floors the car and he drives
Yeah.
very irresponsibly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he nailed that score, and so much so that he had introduced this score back in September when actually at the Hollywood Bowl when they did the Marvel Cinematic Universe live in concert, and they were playing all the good scores before the night was over. Michael Giacchino went out on stage and said, "Hey, one more thing. You guys want to hear the first glimpse of the Fantastic Four score?" I would have died if I was sitting in the Hollywood Bowl and all of a sudden I heard that live for the first time. I've never heard this before, and it's so good. and it starts right at the beginning. Like even like during like the montage stuff was even great. And to your point, it's like it did feel like they were fast forwarding some of the good stuff. Even I thought they would have at least give a moment to with the monster cart. I think it's called Giganto,
Hmm.
which was basically recreating the cover of the original of Fantastic Four #1 when they were fighting that monster. He was featured in the film,
Yeah.
but like they kind of just brushed over it like a cheap
It
cameo.
felt like the opening credits, like the old Marvel logo when like the Marvel suit comes on, and I feel like those are really fun and it gets you hyped up because you're thinking about all the full scenes when you're seeing those brief glimpses, and it felt like
Yeah.
they had that effect, but we didn't get to see a lot of that fun stuff, so it just felt like you're like, oh, I wish I got to see that.
Yeah, and instead we and which I'm perfectly kind of fine with for the story that we got. We instead had this like, oh, it's been 4 years since the Fantastic Four first banded together and came back from space and had these powers, and so now here's this threat that kind of comes in their normal day to day. So now a lot of the movie is just them trying to figure out how to isolate or get rid of this threat, which is Galactus, instead of them kind of fighting whatever stuff that's happening in here. And it almost feels like that they're pushing the agenda of the bigger MCU rather than just focusing on the story that we have now. Which, even though it was also a story that was isolated.
Hmm.
And to your point, what you mentioned earlier, Ernesto, I don't believe this is the last time we're seeing Galactus.
No.
I don't know where he is. He's definitely coming back. Julia Gardner's definitely coming back. I just don't know when and if they're even thought about in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But yeah, there's no way that I can believe that they are done with Galactus is not dead. He's just in a
No.
different universe. That being said, I did really like the like all the space stuff. I felt like the space
Hmm.
stuff was what like really stood this film out from the rest, and even from other space movies that we've seen that Marvel has done with Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy. This one felt very, I don't know, kind of realistic in a way. It's kind of weird for me to say that. But there was, I feel like there was some realism there. Like we're not going to these other worlds and the other planets. They're like passing through Mars and Jupiter and like through like using the speed of light to get across the different parts of the galaxy. Like for me, that feels believable.
Hmm.
Like as if I was watching Interstellar when they were up in space. It's like not to not to like that degree of Interstellar, but like I feel like that's something that I was like, oh, that's I feel like that we could do that.
Yeah, they made
Like
it.
it's
They
felt
made it
tangible.
seem believable.
Yeah. And then like we had Galactus, which I think him sitting in the chair to you guys' point, he looked way more menacing and way more big than when I'm not sure he reduced his size to fit on Earth or not,
I think so.
but it definitely because that dude was massive when he was sitting in that chair as he was actively eating another planet. It's like, what are you guys doing here? Like, can you see that I'm eating? Like it's kind of rude. And then I think honestly for me, what was the best scene in the movie was the space chase scene. Uh,
Yeah.
I can't see another scene beating that in the film. The fact that Silver Surfer never looked so cool.
And I think Julia Gardner was a great Silver Surfer. I thought she served the character very well, like that very stoic and like as Galactus's herald. I mean, even her descent. I mean, you see it in the trailer. I thought that's it. I mean,
Mhm.
that I almost wish that scene was not in the trailer because I feel like
Yeah.
that was such a great intro. That would have been a great movie only introduction for her. Like to not have that spoiled by the trailer. So it was great. And then the whole chase scene, her getting trapped in the black hole. I actually kind of enjoyed the stuff between her and Johnny Storm. I thought
Mm.
that worked really well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't love that. I felt like I agree with you. I liked all that as well. I almost wish that I know that it was kind of fun to have. I can hear myself. I keep saying the word fun. Um, to have Johnny Storm have something specific to do, but it felt like because we haven't seen these versions of the characters, it felt odd to me to have like him decipher the language and crack that right away, and then it was
Mm.
like, especially when it felt like Mr. Fantastic was maybe the one that got the least amount of like even when he was like being the smartest person alive, he was it didn't feel like he felt like he was just more worrying a lot and then sometimes getting it wrong and also not stretching that much, which sounds such like a lame complaint, but I I I, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on having having Johnny Storm be the one that like really kind of cracks the whole thing and makes it feel because she ends up coming in and saving the day, so he
Mhm.
kind of like you know did the final push there.
Yeah, it feel like that again. They kind of just leaned on Reed Richards as like, you just got to figure it out, dude. Don't worry about your powers. You can stretch a little bit to get that extra like corner in the on the chalkboard, but other than that, like you stay where you are. You got to figure out how to either move this planet or stop Galactus somehow. It's like you're right. He was definitely worrying a lot. Even at the beginning of the movie, when we first find out that he's about to become a father, he was worrying about how the child was going to turn out and like making all these precautions. And so like he even kind of mentioned it too, is like I and there's kind of a way a powerful line in the movie where he's like, I have to think of the worst possibility so I can find a way to stop it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's where his mind is 24/7. And I think as far as character moments are concerned, this movie did a really good job of giving us a lot of great character moments. And I think that's a compliment to the fantastic chemistry that was our four main leads. I
Mhm.
feel like they bounced off each other so well and they leaned heavily into the family aspect of it. And I think they were able to kind of give everyone their moment, just not in an action setting.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
was all
I totally agree with that.
yeah, which I think that's kind of where the lack of where I feel like this movie is, because even in the space scene, and as much as I loved it, and then even following that, the birth of Franklin Richards and them trying to escape basically a black hole while Sue Storm is giving birth. It's like to me that brought so much tension to the movie, and it did such a good job on it. But like again, is all of this not really using the physical capabilities of their powers, but yet the mental capabilities of their powers. And I think to some degree, like I always felt like Johnny Storm was just the hothead and not really providing much intellectually. And I feel like they were able to give everyone like they weren't just random people who went to space. They were able to kind of prove why these people went to space in the first place, and it's because of their intellect.
Mhm.
They just happened to have powers when they came back.
Fantastic
Um,
point.
and so like I they did a really good job doing that. But as a fan of like, look, I love great characters, but also I want some punching. Like, give me some of that. Like, I know we can have both. And they kind of just favored less into the action setting
You were
of that.
saying before we started recording that you were mad you didn't get to see them making the baby, right? That was something.
Yeah, that was something that's like, look, he said he can stretch every part. I don't know why we didn't explore that. It's weird. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. And then
I appreciated that they didn't. And I guess I kind of go back and forth on this as well a little bit, but I when I was watching it the first time, I really appreciated that they didn't keep what happened between them and Galactus a secret. Like when they came down
Mm,
the press conference, they're immediately like, "Yeah, no, he asked for the baby. We said no. Anyway, we're gonna, like that." I
Yeah.
thought I feel like 10 years ago they would have like really stretched out that kind of lie, and then it
Mm.
would have been revealed at some point, and then
mhm.
would have been. So I like that they kept it moving in that. I thought that was kind of nice, and they just let that out, and then didn't hold on to that one.
Well, I think it was important that they did that because there was a point where Sue Storm where she's talking to them and she's in that courtyard with them talking about like how they view the people of Earth as their family. So it's like do you really feel this is family? Why would you then it would have been that whole like if we're your family, why would you hide that from us? So I felt
Yeah,
like in that moment it was important for them to be honest with their people who they're tasked with protecting.
Yeah, and I did kind of like the aspect of kind of the city turning on them for not wanting to give up their baby to Galactus. Like, oh, it's the one versus the many. Like just give up your baby. It shouldn't be that hard. And then all of our lives are safe. And yet, it was a great speech with Sue Storm of like, I am not giving up my baby for this Earth, but I'm not going to give up Earth because of my baby, something along those lines.
Mhm.
And I think that was kind of a really cool element to see the world kind of rally together, and kind of make these teleportation chambers, which ultimately felt like a good like build up to it, to instantly just get shut down by Silver Surfer. It's like, yeah, that's not happening. And you're like, well, all right. I'm a little bit disappointed because it just felt like, in a way, like we were working a lot of the movie to get to a certain point, and then it was instantly just destroyed. Like, well, that sucks that you wasted 30 minutes on this idea.
I can't take credit for this observation. I just thought it was funny, but somebody else pointed out that it's a movie that takes place with a giant cosmic being that consumes planets, and yet the least realistic part of the whole movie was the whole world banded together and did something so quickly.
Well, when humanity is at stake, you have to rally together, apparently. And I guess also we're living in a world, and this is something we can explore a little bit. Choosing to make, having this take place in an alternate dimension, alternate universe. I think they titled it as Earth 828, which happens to be Jack Kirby's birthday.
So famously, the Earth that prioritizes teamwork. Apparently,
yeah, that's the one. Do you think this was a good idea that Marvel decided to step away from the MCU and give us a whole movie that has nothing to do with the Marvel characters that we know, and kind of focus on this idea that we're in a brand new world, that we've watched all these movies to kind of make have all these connected tissues together, yet here's this one that takes place outside of our dimension. And it kind of, in the same way, Deadpool Wolverine was very similar to that, but yet the audience was very familiar with the other worlds that Deadpool was exploring. And that's where the fun was for us, when you saw like Wesley Snipes as Blade, Jennifer Garner as Elektra, obviously Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. Like, for the audience, we are familiar with these from other movies, but in this case, this is Marvel exploring and kind of taking a gamble on like a brand new world that we're not familiar with, and kind of honing in on, like, you're going to come for these characters, and all the multiverse world stuff will come later.
I feel like they had to with the story they wanted to do, because otherwise you're just going to be watching that going like, where's every other hero with this giant planet-consuming monsters coming down? I feel like they had to kind of isolate it.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I'm kind of to your notion, like it honoring Jack Kirby. I feel like that was the best decision they made, because now they have this playground where they can honor Jack Kirby. Which the movie, I was like, oh, it's Jack Kirby's birthday. So I started looking, and apparently the movie is riddled with, like, the movie is basically like a love letter to Jack Kirby, which is something that Kevin Feige said in a couple interviews, starting with the Earth being 828 based off of Kirby's birthday. There's that quote at the end, that followed his birthday. It underscores his personal connection to the characters, especially Ben Grimm, whose Jewish heritage and Yancey Street roots reflect Kirby's Lower East Side upbringing. The home King Dry Cleaners, apparently his nickname, Jack Kirby's nickname, was the King. Timely Comics, a Times Square scene where the Silver Surfer flying past Timely Comics, which was Marvel's predecessor, with a drawing board displaying Oog Lives Again and Tales from Suspense 27, 1961. Both were Jack Kirby creation, a node to his monster comics. There was a couple more. The cover, which you mentioned, Matt, that montage of Fantastic Four #1 where they battle Giganto, that's a Kirby drawn monster. They talk about how they kind of meshed that retro futuristic, but also taking hints from Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, that retro futurism. You get a little bit of that. I think you get a little bit of that in the Baxter Building as well. Galactus's design, that's design of that character. That's Kirby's lines. The dynamic patterns, the world ship, the helmet, emphasizing the cosmic scale. Kevin Feige noted in Collider that there's a reason this design worked, and it's because it's super cool. I mean, I think Galactus looked great. I think the
Galactus looked really cool.
Yeah, and all of that encompassing into this 828 world. Whereas we didn't have that, we wouldn't have the ground to kind of give us this place where we could honor him. And I thought it was, I thought that for that aspect, I think everything within that worked really well. And I think for me, that's why the production design is one of the most beautifully stunning that I've seen in a movie in a long time. And that's one of the strongest points. And I think it's all drawing from their love for Jack Kirby and kind of showcasing it through that film.
Yeah, the same. It's the same production designer as Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And Loki was also taking a lot of liberties, and it's like this old school kind of corporate, not corporate, but like this retro office vibe that we were getting in Loki, and like very 1950s. And then it makes complete sense of bringing that over to Fantastic Four. Going back to that Timely Comics cameo, I was watching a breakdown video, and they also mentioned that as well. When the Silver Surfer came down, you saw Timely Comics. They were there were two people inside the comic book shop, kind of running to the window to see what was going on. And in the breakdown video, they theorized that this could be kind of in a way, this is Jack Kirby and Stan Lee kind of working together inside the Timely Comics area. And in addition to that, they noted that there were drawings from the two that you also said, but also like a half drawn, as if they were starting to draw the first Fantastic Four #1. You saw the sketches of the Giganto piece there, and the breakdown video, which I really kind of appreciate the sentiment. It's almost like they were trying to put the Adventures of Fantastic Four in a comic book, and they were starting with that first issue, as if in a meta way they were just chronologizing or chronologizing. Nope. How did I say that?
Chronicling.
Chronicalizing. There you go. Whatever. They kind of like recording history just through a comic book, as they were seeing it unfold in real time. So I think that was kind of a cool homage to Jack Kirby, and kind of all over the place. But yeah, I think the taking yourself out of the MCU, and I don't know if this is something they're going to continue doing. And I personally think they should, because in a way, as James Gunn said, like for his DC Studios, DC Universe, he wants to have these Elseworld projects that are not necessarily taking place within the DCU, but stories that are worth telling that happen to feature DC characters. And I think in a way, this was kind of Marvel's version of that. But we ultimately know that this is a good tie into the bigger MCU, so there's not going to be a standalone thing. And though some movies can stand on its own, I do feel like that maybe Marvel should take a playbook or consider, because this movie and this world is worth exploring. I just don't know if we're going to get this again, given the events of whatever happens in Doomsday and Secret Wars.
No, because I think once we hit Secret Wars is gonna be like a reset. I mean, they've already kind of stated that after Secret Wars, they're gonna be done with the multiverse storytelling for a while, which I think is smart, because in the Secret Wars they'll probably reset and there'll be that'll be the massive tie-in to go to one main timeline. And then because after this one is Avengers, right? Isn't that the next Marvel film to come out? Or what, am I missing one?
You're missing one as of right now, unless they announce anything else, which I don't think they will. So the next theatrical Marvel movie will be Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which comes out July 31st, 2026.
Which will be in the main timeline, which obviously, because that's a continuation from already established in the Marvel MCU. So it'll be interesting to see, because then that's the end of that movie will basically be the prologue to Avengers.
Or they might not even mention it. This is just here, because
that's true too.
Like you said, this is a street level Spider-Man movie. This would be a proper Spider-Man story. Who knows if they'll even tackle anything major or cosmic or whatever.
Because even this film, like, I would assume that we were going to get some sort of connection through a post-credit scene, and in the post-credit scene, kinda is. I mean, depending on how you look at it, how you determine, like, if that's gonna be, is that RDJ is Doom, or is that Earth 828's Doom, and that's why we're not seeing his face, or they're just kind of like, it is the same person, but they're waiting for that reveal. So then is Avengers gonna, like, we haven't even established how the Fantastic Four is gonna come over here. We get a brief view of a Fantastic Four ship flying in to the atmosphere at the end of Thunderbolts, but we don't see any of that in this movie. So I wonder now, given how this film ends in the end credit scene, I wonder if their thought is to leave their Earth with Franklin and to come over to the 626, to the 616 universe to get away from Doom. I don't know. Because that's part of their storyline too, where Doom is obsessed with Franklin Richards. For the same reasons that Galactus was.
Well, while we're on the topic, Ernesto, Nick, what are your thoughts on the end credit scene? I did read an interview, but I'm kind of, before I'd say my thoughts, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how you feel about the end credit scene with Doctor Doom.
I actually feel pretty proud of this one. I think I called it perfectly. I was talking to a friend who was going to watch it as well, and he was like, "Oh, we're going to definitely see Robert Downey Jr. at the end," and I was like, "I don't think we do. I bet we see Doom, and I bet you don't see his face." And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And are you happy with that? Is that a suffice?
I didn't really care. I was like,
Okay.
of course, the part of me that is overindulgent in everything wanted to immediately consume as much as possible. But, I think ultimately it's I thought it was an effective tease, I guess. I think because I'm sort of half, 1 foot in, 1 foot out a little bit, I want there to be something that's so gripping that drags me back in and I can't wait for the next time. And I think this was fine. I don't think it was. I think kind of to your point, it was what I expected. It didn't blow me out of the water where I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for the next movie. But instead it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of what I expected. So I would say it was fine.
So an interview came out, I believe it was Sunday, and I read the piece, and apparently they were interviewing Venessa Kirby, and she said in the interview that was Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm.
As the post-credit scene suggested, this took place 4 years. I think it was 4 years later after the events of Fantastic Four. Yes, that was Doctor Doom's. That was Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom, and it was directed by the Russo brothers.
Mm.
So this is definitely having their hands into whatever is happening next. And so a lot of people were theorizing that maybe somehow Doctor Doom was able to steal or kidnap Franklin Richards, going into other universes, and then maybe we see the Fantastic Four vehicle or spaceship that we saw at the end of Thunderbolts entering their universe to try to follow Doctor Doom and see where he's going. That's a wild rumor, guess, it's a speculation, but I mean, as of right now, it seems pretty sound. As far as post credit scene goes, I don't think that hyped me up for Doomsday at all.
For her to confirm it, it almost would have been more effective if they had just given him one line, in that Doctor Doom voice, just something that hints that he wants a child, that it is RDJ, that this is. Because if you had heard his voice, everybody would have been going crazy. That would have been a confirmation that this is our Doctor Doom. So this scene is a direct tie-in for Avengers game. That shouldn't have been. I don't know. That we don't even need to see his face. We just need to hear his voice. Seeing the cloak and the mask, but hearing him say something as Doctor Doom would have been way more effective.
You guys probably know this. Does he wear the mask? Because what is the mask for him? Is he able to just take it on and off? Is that pretty consistent in the comics?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I think the mask
armor.
I think the mask it varies between what version of Doctor Doom. In some cases, he had this terrible accident, and so in the case of the 2005 movie, Doctor Doom was so vain that he wanted to cover his face with all the scars that he had in his the physical damage that took to his face. He wanted to cover it because he was so, I guess, basically into himself. And others it's beholden to him. And there's other comic books that he was his face he believes is so messed up, and then when he took off the mask, there's only one scratch on it. So there's multiple iterations of what the mask means. I'm not sure, Ernesto, what you found.
I looked it up. So there's as you were just saying, in physical scarring. So in Fantastic Five, in 1961, Doom's face is scarred during a college experiment with Reed Richards that goes wrong, attempting to contact the Netherworld. His vanity as a genius and Latvian noble drives him to hide the scars, believing that even a minor blemish ruins his perfection. The mask, forged by monks, becomes his new face. Psychological armor, the mask symbolizes Doom's need for control and fear. As a megalomaniac, he uses it to project an unyielding, godlike persona, masking his insecurities. It's less about shame and more about crafting an image of invincibility. I agree with that. I think that's probably more relevant. Cultural significance in Latverian tradition. The mask reflects Doom's role as ruler, blending mysticism and authority. It's a constant reminder of his vow to surpass Reed Richards and dominate the world. Yeah, I mean, the only thing we get in this movie was the empty chair of Latveria during that one scene, and in the very end. But yeah,
which I feel like with confirming that is RDJ's Doctor Doom, that implies that this Doctor Doom is part of this universe.
Yes,
and therefore,
but they're all coming over for this. So it kind of, I don't know, it makes sense because in this world you don't need a Tony Stark because you have a Reed Richards, and that's why maybe because they're both the smartest people in the world. So that's the constant battle where Doom wants to be smarter than Reed.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would have benefited the audience to actually see RDJ give us a scene, give us a line, give us a threat to get us hyped up for what essentially we're waiting for a year and a half before we see this movie? Avengers Doomsday does not come out until December 2026.
I think it would have been cool to have Doom in that one, just to have him randomly in that one scene. I think would have worked really well because it would have just established so many things within the film, and it would have been a way to get him in there without like kind of destroying the narrative than having like the empty chair and like the back of his head. Like it feels like more exposition than we needed. Like we don't need the constant hide. Like obviously we know who he's gonna be. Like I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more of a hint because he's so iconic to Fantastic Four. Like why would he not be involved? Like Galactus is taking over the world and Doom's just chilling at Latveria and has no interest. Like but if based on his character, he would want to be a part of that, or at least want to like. There should have been some back and forth between him and Reed about what the right thing would have been. I think like that would have been a good introduction, but I guess maybe they couldn't secure him for this film. But I felt like that if this is our Doom, then this would have been a good brief introduction to him, even if he wasn't the big bad in the film.
Yeah. And instead we got Mole Man throwing out shade to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, which I thought was funny. I love Paul Walter Heiser. I think he's a great actor. I thought he worked as Mole Man, so maybe we'll see Mole Man in some future iteration in the other universe.
But wouldn't it have been cool if we got like the Mole Man like start of the movie? Like we saw him like a full scene trying to take over the city.
And I felt that would have been better to tie in, because then when you see him again later on, you're like, oh, I forgot he's even in this movie. That would have been like, I feel like a nice way to tie that in. I agree.
No, yeah,
because he was just in the montage, and then we just saw him like, and then he trusts Sue Storm because they spoke, and apparently there's a comic book that's out that highlights a little bit more of like a prologue to this film, and Marvel does that from time to time. There is like comic books that predates the events of the films. And so it is technically canon, but just not in the movie.
I have to find that.
I feel like some of that could have just been implemented in the movie. I think would have helped with it, especially when the Mole Man is the one that's basically saving the humanity, basically not the humanity, but saving the people of the city, like from the Submeria, I believe it was called Subterranea, his underground world. And that was also just mentioned. I think it'd be really cool just to see some of that too. Again, there's a lot of cool aspects of it that we kind of just brushed over about it. But going back into the movie, how do you guys think the ending? Because there's part of me that feels like that. I really wish that they were working together more, even though they felt like they were very much isolated. But do you feel like at that moment that like blinding Galactus to make him feel that Franklin was there and then not there just long enough for him to step on a triangle to then enact the black hole? it as far as like these people are really smart, this feels like a dumb idea to try to trick this guy when he literally is like, "Oh, wait a minute, Franklin's not there. He's over there, dummies. I'm gonna walk over here instead." Like, I don't know. I feel like that was just not well thought out, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't clever. I'm not sure if you guys feel the same way or.
I mean, it could have been better. It could have been better. I mean, it just felt the movie felt very clunky. And then, like, given the news about John Malkovich and like this whole Mole Man thing, like, it felt like there's pieces of the movie that are missing. And like, you can kind of, and maybe that's where maybe some of the disconnect comes. So like, because it feels like I like it, but I feel like there's just something missing from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a lot that I liked about this movie. It does feel like they were kind of bashing it a little bit, but
it has its faults. There's things that are enjoyable. There's a lot to. I feel like for me, like overall, there's a lot to like. I feel like there's a lot to enjoy. But then, like, given my issue is, and to be honest, is like when you get a movie that is good as Superman just a couple weeks ago, and then you come to this, it's like clearly the issue is not superhero fatigue. The issue is the style of storytelling and Marvel giving us the same recycled like thing over and over again. Like, it's very formulaic. Like, it's the Marvel, like, this is a Marvel machine movie. Where I feel like if you were to look at Thunderbolts, it's a little different. Like, it's not, it is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is like a typical Marvel movie where I felt like Thunderbolts was like something a little bit more refreshing. And then you get something as Superman, as great and as iconic as it is, like, it's just, it lets us know that there are better ways to do these types of movies. And then it's like, you see this and it's like, well, like all this, look at all these other examples. Like, there's clearly a better way to do this. And it's a missed opportunity for this movie, I feel like, for me.
Nick, how do you feel now comparing it to Superman? Your thoughts going in, and you kind of mentioned earlier your expectations going into Superman, Fantastic Four, and now coming out of it on the other side.
I think I just didn't have any expectations really for Superman. I didn't have any like stakes in it. I didn't care about the character going in, so I think I went in probably how you should go into most movies, and I just had a really fun time, and I really enjoyed that. So with the Fantastic Four, I think I put a little bit more on it. And again, that's like unfair. That's not their fault, but I think I went in with way higher expectations, and I think I left with a ton of positives, and I really enjoyed it overall, and it was fun and I think visually very cool. But I definitely left, I think, feeling a little disappointed. I think it was fine, and I think it's like on the right track, and it was great, and it got me excited to see these characters, operating in that universe moving forward. But I didn't walk away going like, "Oh, that's the best movie I've ever seen."
Yeah. Yeah, it's as Nick you mentioned, I'm literally head to toe in fantastic gear, merch. But I literally walked out of the movie, and I'm more or less wearing the same outfit that I wore to this movie because you got to wear at least one more time. Because after that, I don't know I'm gonna wear this get up again.
Listeners don't know this, but you wear the same clothes and you don't change or wash or bathe until you do the review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I was like, wow, I'm literally walking out of the theater. I was like, I never thought I would say this. And like, given the hype that I had for both movies, but I was like, Superman was a better movie. It really was. Like, if the superhero clash of the summer of 2025, Superman versus Fantastic Four, Superman was a better movie than Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I think there's no question about it. It was the Superman brought a lot more fun to its movie, where I feel like the Fantastic Four could have been more fun than it already was if they just gave us those lighthearted moments. Speaking of which, at the very end of the movie, when they defeat Galactus and life seems to go back to normal, they're going back on that TV show. They get the alert on their phone. Apparently, again, going to do something probably fantastic and like another crime, another villain of the week. I would have loved to seen that play out, but instead we just see them rushing out of the studio. And probably the funniest part of the movie was them trying to put the car seat in the Fantastic car.
Yeah, that was funny.
And they spent so much time on it too to let the bit just continue. to me is like, where was this? Where was this in the movie this whole time? They're quippy back and forth, and like you see Sue Storm just like, look at my guys. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. Trying, she's just there holding the baby, being very patient. It's like, yeah, the world's not ending or anything, so take your time. And then like they're just like, no, you have to do it this way. You gotta bring it over. It's like, no, I'm gonna reach around, and like that fun connectedness is one just highlights the great chemistry that they were able to have in that scene and throughout the movie, but also just highlights the fun we could have been having throughout this whole movie. And I do feel like there was a movie there that could have been just this lighthearted, not world-ending. Let's just have fun in this world, and then maybe later we'll bring in Galactus. Like I don't think we needed that because it brought the mood down a little bit when this world is just like, I just want to have fun. Can we just walk around Times Square for a little bit? Like this looks like a fun place to be.
Like it almost seems, and I kind of agree with you, but it almost seems like the movie was a vehicle to just push Galactus and Silver Surfer into our universe.
Hmm.
Otherwise, like why cut out all these other villains? Like they literally cut them all out. They cut the whole Mole Man stuff, and they cut all the John Malkovich character out. They cut all that stuff out, and they just gave us more Galactus, which the cosmic scene and stuff was cool, but then he had such a quick ending that it almost was underwhelming.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. You're about
I
to say
was just gonna ask, is Superman's like DC's first hero, right?
He's the
Early
world.
on.
He's like the world's first superhero.
Yeah,
So then, was Fantastic Four also Marvel's?
more or less. Yeah, this is it's.
This is
Oh,
Marvel's
it's
first
cool that
family.
they both had movies coming out at the same time. That's kind of neat.
I want to double check, but I'm pretty sure it predates Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah, because didn't Spider-Man?
Stan Lee.
Yeah, no, but didn't Spider-Man like join in the Fantastic Four? Like I feel
Yeah.
like he gets introduced.
He does.
Yeah,
Oh, you're right. He does. Yes. Yes. Spider-Man. First.
that's cool. I think that's really neat that they happen to both come out at the same time, and like those are like the original big heavyweights at least.
Yeah. Oh wow. It just missed it. Amazing. It's called Amazing Fantasy number 15. Introduces Spider-Man in August of 1961. I'm sorry, 1962.
Wow.
And that was written by Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko. And then the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. Come on. How does it spell? There we go. Was in November of 1961. So about 10 months. So in November 1961, we get the Fantastic Four. 10 months later, we get Spider-Man.
But Marvel's first comic, Marvel Comics #1, which was by Timely Comics, it introduces Human Torch, not Johnny Storm, but it also has Namor. So there's like characters that predate like Marvel's original with Timely Comics, as you know, we've seen that's the pre-Marvel comic book company.
Yeah. So yeah, there's at least just going back to the ending, like I do agree with you. It definitely felt like it was a little bit underwhelming that you just had to push this big guy with all the force you had to force him into the black hole. It felt like they could have been. It felt like all very Sue Storm heavy of taking down Galactus, and then with the Silver Surfer taking the big sacrifice, but not really. It didn't feel like it was a team effort going into it, and I think that's kind of what this movie was missing. Like even though they're part of a family and there's this teamwork element to some of what they're doing, but not. I feel like not in the action moments. That was happening. Let's quickly, as we were mentioning a little bit earlier, let's quickly just talk about the box office. Fantastic Four: First Steps had a domestic opening of $118 million, which is a pretty strong start. At the time of this recording, it has made $118 million domestically, $100 million internationally, with a grand total of $218 million worldwide. It had a budget of about $200 million. So it's definitely made at least its budget back within the first weekend, and it's on its way to probably more or less getting into, I would like to assume going into the 500 mil range. There's not really any competition with the exception of Superman, which is already in its third week. That is coming out. That's even going to be close to compared to Fantastic Four. So Fantastic Four has a lot of room in August to recoup a lot of money in that. So I think they're going to get a lot of great investment. This is the first movie Marvel all year to even crack 100 mil opening weekend. So it's kind of crazy to think about it that Marvel used to be like this powerhouse, and now, like the last big release they had was Deadpool Wolverine, which opened at over 200 million. A lot of hype around that one.
If we knew
But
who was in the accounting department, we would know who's really excited right now.
I'm so sorry I didn't mention that earlier. But as we're comparing, I do want to even look at now where Superman sits, and it's his third weekend. It has made $289 million domestically, $213 million internationally, with a grand total of $502.6 million worldwide in its third week. So we're already halfway to a billion. I don't think it's going to make a billion, but it's doing extremely well even in its third week, and it's doing very well for DC. And I think the positive word of mouth is doing that, and I think it will continue that because it's also doing that for both films as well. And just for a quick comparison, a lot of people are trying to again compare the two movies, and like who actually won at the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, we're all winners because both Superman and Fantastic Four were great movies. And so I think the audience wins at the end of the day. But when we're looking at numbers, technically Superman opened more because Fantastic Four opened at 118 million, Superman opened at 125. But on the international market, I believe it opened to $95 million internationally when Fantastic Four opened at $100 million internationally. So domestically, Superman won. Internationally, Fantastic Four technically won. Worldwide opening, again, Fantastic Four had 218, I think. Yeah, 216 worldwide as it opened, and and Superman opened to 220, so just slightly above. So I think overall, I think more people wanted to see a Superman movie rather than a Fantastic Four movie, which I think it's interesting to kind of see how these movies go. And then also, it's something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later in August, as we do our kind of end of the summer recap. We do our summer box office recap, where we kind of go all the numbers and see how they did box office wide. And it's always a fun conversation that
Yeah.
Ernesto do and I do every year. But before we wrap up, Nick, I'll ask this question to you first. How does leaving Fantastic Four First Steps get us into the excitement of the future of the MCU?
I feel like I've been a fan for such a long time now that I think I'm pretty invested. I'm excited to see what happens. I think even though the last couple years I've made in the last 5 years it was like the first time where I started like skipping some of them.
Mhm.
And I think even accounting for all that, I think I'm still excited and I'm looking forward to seeing where these characters go. And I'm just always going to be a sucker for things crossing over with other things, and it's just not gonna. I don't think it's never gonna be not enjoyable for me. So I'm excited, and who knows? I hope it keeps going the right direction. I feel like if it stays at this exact pace, then maybe it'll be a thing that like I slowly kind of distance from. But I'm viewing this as like a step in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to the movies down the road.
Ernesto, what about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I'm glad we're heading in the right direction. Yeah, it is kind of a callback to old school Marvel. I just maybe they'll get some. Maybe we're gonna get really surprised with Spider-Man. Maybe because Spider-Man's been, as we've been told, it's gonna be more of a street level. It's gonna be more of a centralized story. So that is promising. That's really promising. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do in the future. I'm just hoping it's less of Captain America: Brave New World and more of like what they did for Thunderbolts in this. Maybe like a mix of both. That would be better. Like a lot of what they did in Thunderbolts and like a little bit of what they did in here, I think would be a better formula for them moving forward.
Yeah, it's funny. They had a lot of action in Thunderbolts, and the whole time I'm like, I kind of get it. They got guns and they're punching a little bit, And it's I would if they could reverse. I'm like, I want to see the Fantastic Four fight all day long. And Thunderbolts, I'm like, okay, good, we got it. Yep, there was a little bit of a kicking and punching, and yeah.
Kevin Feige recently did an article with Variety and also various interviews while they were on the circuit of Fantastic Four, and he said he wanted to focus on lower budgets, less TV, and more big event films coming into play. He did say that one of the reasons why Marvel had a few downfall was because of they were focusing on quantity over quality,
Mhm.
and that was pushed by the powers that be over at Disney. And so now we're kind of getting a return to form. We see Thunderbolts be an example of that. Um, the idea of like we see this future and the fact that we're only getting 3 Marvel movies as we know right now as it stands in the next 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about that we got 3 Marvel movies in 2025. We're only getting 2 in 2026, and that's on the back half of 2026. We only got 1 last year with Deadpool and Wolverine, and as of right now, to our understanding, only 1 Marvel movie is coming out in 2027, which is Avengers: Secret Wars. So I wonder if scaling back it will give them time to focus on quality, and then maybe moving forward from there, having they claim they want less budget, lower budgets on their films, um, less TV on Disney Plus. It was also stated that Ernesto, as you mentioned earlier, that Kevin Feige sees, I think in a recent interview studio, plans to recast the X-Men characters when superhero team gets its own MCU movie sometime after Secret Wars. So the X-Men's already being planned for after Secret Wars, and it was already stated actually. Kevin Feige confirmed in the interview that Jake Schreier, who directed Thunderbolts, will be directing the new X-Men movie whenever that comes to pass after Avengers Secret Wars. And also to your point, Ernesto, he said that the Avengers after Avengers Secret Wars, it will be a reset to the MCU.
Yeah.
What that looks like, we don't know. And he also stated that, like, yeah, and this gives us an opportunity if we wanted to recast Iron Man and um,
Captain
Captain
America.
America.
They could
Yeah.
bring them back as other characters, which I would think we speculated that was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see that happen. I see that 100% happening. But I think it's interesting to see like the future of Marvel is basically a reset. And in the sense of like Secret Wars and the end of the multiverse saga does kind of feel like the end of the MCU as we know it. And if we want to continue moving forward, we have to usher basically a brand new Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they're not going to stop making movies. They're going to continue doing that. But I do think it's interesting that the next 3 movies in the next couple of years is Avengers heavy and Spider Man. It's basically they're heavy hitters, and I think they're like, we want $1 billion, like we want that billions back.
Yeah, we want another Endgame.
um, but yeah, I think the future is semi bright for Marvel. I'm very much looking forward to the next 3 movies, more so than I have been in a while for Marvel. And I think this is a good launching pad for it, even though it had a little bit of faults along the way for this movie. But with all of that, Nick, I'll send it back over to you. Your final thoughts on the movie, as well as your 5-star rating.
5-star. I would say I had a lot of fun with it. It was good. I would say out of 5 stars, I would say 3.
3. Wow. Okay.
Right, that's good, right? It's tipped over into the
Yeah.
good territory, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Ernesto, what about you? What about your final thoughts and 5-star rating?
So I think that there's a lot to enjoy about this movie. Obviously, I think the production design was absolutely like they nailed it on point. That if anything could get top scores, that would be the production design. Also, the score by Michael Giacchino, the man never misses. Like the score is like those are the main 2 things that are just really highlight for the film. I think the casting was good. I mean, even though we see Pedro Pascal saving another child, which is that's his bread and butter. So we get it. Galactus was a little underwhelming towards the end. The space scene, the space stuff was really cool. But yeah, I think I wanted a little bit more. And coming off of Superman, I think I just expected a better quality film. But overall, it was fine. It's a good decent Marvel film. It's a nice introduction to have them into the MCU and what that's going to mean for the storytelling moving forward. And it would have been nice to get a little bit more of Doctor Doom, given like his connectiveness with the Fantastic Four. So like if we were to do something else later, like we can come back to that, or I don't know. We're gonna see that play on in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But as far as my 5-star, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It's
3
fine.
stars.
Yeah.
Feels so low.
Okay, 3.5. Happy?
Jeez, man.
I'm giving it a 4. Fantastic Four.
4.
4 stars.
I'll meet you at 3.5. How about that?
Fine.
Okay.
I'll meet you. No way I'm doing 4.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind if I'm
I
even
don't know
do
about
4.
4, but I will meet you at 3.5.
All right, I'll take 3.5 as far as an official box office binges rating goes. But as far as a Matt Diaz rating goes, I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie, and for pretty much everything Ernesto and you guys just said, like the chemistry between the characters are great. The production design, it's like I wish I can explore more about this world. Some of these characters look really cool. I even like this, even the outfits. It feels different than
Mhm.
anything Marvel has put out in such a long time. That again, they're very similar to Black Panther. It's like they're just showing us so many different things about this world, and it's like, yeah, just give me more. Like I want to see more from this. I mean, just recently, Marvel they're coming out with Eyes of Wakanda, which is an animated series from Marvel Animation, and it's actually they bumped the date. It's actually coming out August 1st, so you can probably watch it if you're listening to us. Probably by the time you listen to us, the show's already probably out on Disney Plus. It's only 4 episodes, but they're telling different stories within Wakanda and also a different time period. And so I think like even having a show like that just taking place in the world of this like Earth 828, I think it would be really cool to kind of revisit this
Mm.
world again. And then the music, Michael Giacchino, he killed it. Like this is one of my favorite scores of the year so far. I have so much fun listening to it,
Mhm.
and I think me listening to it just elevates. Like, man, I just want to rewatch this movie again. But then if I go rewatch the movie, it's like, well, the music is still really good though. I still really enjoyed the music. Whereas I think at the end of the day, for me, where it comes down a little bit is that even though I still had a lot of fun watching this movie, and again, chemistry, production design, music, it met my expectations of what I wanted this movie to be. It's definitely the best Fantastic Four movie to come out, definitely beating the other 2 iterations of it. But it never exceeded my expectations when I was watching it. Like I feel like this is exactly the movie that I thought I was getting, and nothing really surprised me at the end of the day. Where as opposed to like Superman, where I feel like there were a few things that surprised me, and I think because my expectations were a little bit lower than it was for the Fantastic Four. Also, just quickly mentioning the title, Fantastic Four: First Steps. I would have put money on the first steps had something to do with Franklin Richards.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
And it didn't. I would have put money on the fact that maybe as he was taking his first steps, or like either one of 2 ways. As he was taking his first steps, he takes down Galactus, if this is the version that we were getting, or within the end of the film, he starts taking his first steps into something, or maybe we discover that he has powers as he's taking his first steps, and then we get one of those like, "Uh-oh, this baby has powers."
I
So
feel
like,
like it's implied though, right? I mean, I don't feel like I don't know. That's funny. That's interesting to think about it. That in my mind, I'm like, it's because he's a baby. In your mind, you're like, oh, first steps is like associated with that. And then also, it's like the beginning of these guys' character. Like, I don't know. It's funny. I didn't think of that literally needing to happen in the movie. That's an interesting point.
yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt that it doesn't, but I feel like in my head that's where my first mind went. She's like, "Oh, first steps, they're gonna have the baby. It's right there." Um, but yeah, they didn't. Obviously they didn't do that. So, you mentioned something else that I just forgot as well. Um, no, I lost it. But yeah, I think they could have leaned into that aspect of it, but for the most part, it was fine. It's fine. Anyway, there you go. That's our spoiler review on Fantastic Four First Steps. Another semi-win for Marvel as we get into one step closer into the Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Nick, thank you again for joining us and having a full depth conversation of all this Marvel talk that we keep bringing you back on for.
Thanks for asking me back. I always love talking to you guys.
Is there anything else you want to come back for that's not Marvel related? Anything else you're looking forward to?
I'll have to get back to you on that one. I got to look at what's coming out. If they do National Treasure 3,
I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's something coming out. I'll take a look at the calendar.
Do you see yourself going to the movies as often as you used to, or you're definitely dialing it back?
I feel like I watch a lot on streaming now, but I think I see. Recently, there was like a 3-month period where I did go to the theater, but then after that, other than that weird little occasional gap in time, I feel like I'm going at least once a month, maybe. I think.
Okay, that's a healthy amount.
I just watched Sinners for the first time on streaming. That was great.
That is so
amazing film.
But yeah, I'm just curious. I know we used to go a lot, and then life happens. Not everyone has a podcast where we're forcing ourselves to go to the movie every week.
I'll say this: it hasn't. I canceled A-List for the first time in April, and then looked at what was coming out, and then immediately reverted back. And they had a grace period where you can undo it, and then I undid it, and then I think since then I've seen 5 or 6 movies or something, because it's like Mission Impossible, and then there's a couple other smaller intellectual indies that I probably wouldn't saw, and then obviously Superman, Fantastic Four, and
it's so funny,
Materialist, stuff like that.
We really enjoyed Materialist. We gave that one a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah, great movie.
But yeah, I think it's funny. They're like, oh, I don't need you, AMC. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait! I want you back. I want you back.
It was at the end of that. There's a 3-month thing where they're upping the price. I'm like, I can't justify. I was super busy with work. I hadn't been in 3 months. I'm like, I'm paying, money for nothing. And then I looked ahead and I'm like, I'm just gonna go see a couple of these movies in 3D and it'll be bad. It'll be fine.
So worth it. But yeah, if you want more from us, you can always follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterboxd page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at Box Office_Bingers. All the fun continues on our social media channels, so be sure to give each one of those a follow. You can keep up with New to Stream Fridays, where we tell you what's new to streaming every Friday, as well as we'll give you the box office numbers every Sunday. And you can see our lovely faces on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're all there. Our movie reviews on Letterboxd. They're all a good time. So be sure to give each one of those a follow. You're not going to regret any of that. We are wrapping up our summer blockbuster season with Fantastic Four. I think there's a few lingering movies that are left to be seen, but I think probably mid-August we'll probably start diving into our summer box office recap. I think maybe after Nobody 2, which I know you're looking forward to.
Oh, I'm looking forward. I love Bob Odenkirk. I love the first one. Is one of my favorites. I cannot wait for that movie. I'm actually really excited for that.
So we don't know exactly what we're reviewing next week. We don't. But it's going to be a movie.
Yeah, there'll be something. Maybe a foreign film. We haven't done a foreign film, and we've kind of we usually when we're in peak summer, that's the thing that gets neglected.
Yes, it does. But there's a guarantee we're going to be reviewing a movie next week, and we're going to talk about it. That's almost a guarantee. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening to us to talk about movies. Really do appreciate it. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
Been Ernesto Santos. See ya.